I don't know how many times a big city chief has to stand here and say, we need help to stop these weapons from hitting the street. Somebody's got to wake up and smell the coffee and say enough is enough. We should stop being afraid of the NRA.
Regular viewers of this show may remember that clip. For 3.5 years at different points, we've replayed that. And that, of course, the Jersey City Police Chief Tom Comey speaking just hours after 5 of his officers had been shot because they were outgunned during a shootout. Now, 3 of the chief's officers, they died that day. Even since that day, though, we have wondered when or if the chief's pleas would be heard and if somebody would try and take on the powerful gun lobby and actually win. And now, after Friday's massacre in Newtown, it seems that more lawmakers are up for that argument.
The leadership of the NRA, who function as enablers of mass murder, and that's what they are. They're enablers of mass murder because they terrify the class of political people.
Now, there's also a growing sense that the NRA now less powerful than in years past.
There is this myth that the NRA is so powerful. You go back to what happened back when the Democrats lost after the assault weapons ban. I don't know that the two are connected then, but today the NRA's power is so vastly overrated. The public, when you do the polls, they want to stop this carnage.
All right. Andrew, I want to defer to years you spent working in markets in Texas, Montana, etc. Part of me thinks that it plays fine on the coast when they'll hear a Mayor Bloomberg or a Jerry Nadler or even the president talking about the issue. But in big chunks of this country, that only emboldens the, I think, paranoid fear of the gun grabbers and the elites telling people how to live when it's part of a fabric of communities. Is maybe the message and the messengers, maybe we'd be better served if there were different messengers on this.
As opposed to, let's say, you know, the Jerry Nadlers or the Michael Bloombergs, absolutely. I think if you had gun owners or gun enthusiasts who are actually leading the charge for some sensible reforms here, I think that would go a long way. In fact, I think that might be the only way that this kind of debate leads to actual change. You do see, and there is a sense that, well, the lefties are trying to come and grab your guns. That's been one of the big fears we've heard about President Obama since before he was even elected. If there is a middle ground and if gun enthusiasts can find that ground and lead the way there.
In Montana doesn't need somebody from New York City telling what to do.
They look at it as two different situations.
And let's remember, we spoke previously about the 1994 assault weapons ban. One of the catalyst moments there was when the first George Bush, then a former president, renounced his NRA membership when the rhetoric got too hot. And I'm betting that swayed a lot of belief. But
also, that's true, but also the 94 ban really had its seeds planted in California when there was a shooting at a law firm in California. Right. And you know, it took several years, and that definitely, when President George Bush renounced his membership, you know, that definitely went a long way. But it took several years to get to that point in 93 and 94, the Brady Law in 93 and then the assault weapon ban in 94. So these things obviously they take a long time. It could take 5, 6, 7 years to pass. I'm not suggesting it'll take that long this time. And I think that the NRA is going to dig in their heels here. They are not going to roll over on this one.
Really? You know, Andy,
I don't think they will.
Richard, if the NRA was smart, they would come to the table and give something.
I think on Friday they'll give something. I think they're going to be talking about mental health. Right. I don't know why they ever decided to fight for people on terror watch lists or to try and make sure the mentally ill could still have access to guns or ex-felons. That's not their constituency. I had one thing, though, guys. Maybe you can help me with this, Andy. There's a commercial from the early 80s, and I was going to play it tonight, but it was really pretty strong, and we'll do it later on in the week, but they were going through the numbers, and the numbers have multiplied since then, but the argument then in the early 80s was, hey, look at what's going on in countries like Japan or in Britain, and then look at us. But then, I don't know, maybe I'm remembering a little bit with rose-colored glasses here, but people always had guns, but people didn't have, I don't remember in the 70s, the idea that you had Bushmasters or semi-automatic weapons or guys walking around fighting to make sure they had Uzis. When did it become, not the love affair of America with guns, that's been there from the beginning, I get it. But when did it go that you had to basically be able to outgun the cops, and We're talking about body armor now and assault weapons that belong on a battlefield, not in Main Street America. When did that turn?
Well, I mean, the manufacturers, I mean, they're beholden to their shareholders. They need to make money. I think when the original assault weapon ban was passed in '94, the manufacturers they knew what was coming down the pike, and they said, okay, we are going to start manufacturing weapons that look like these. They function the same way, and a whole new class of weapons, you know, were born. And we just saw things started just to skyrocket.
And just to simplistically, the AR-15, the Bushmaster, is basically the same thing as the M16 made for civilian use here, but it's made to hunt people.
I mean, these are military weapons. I mean, they're designed to kill as many people in a short period of time. That's what they're designed for. But again, the thing I do want to point out, though, is that, you know, this is a daily nightmare. Every single day, there's at least 34 people killed in the United States. I mean, it's just not. So if we're looking at policy, let's look at all the different policies that can have an impact. The assault weapon ban is a piece of the puzzle, but I would argue that we should be looking at a stronger background check system. Universal background checks every time a gun is sold.
Comprehensive database, so we all
know what's
going in.
But also, let's not lay this at the feet of the mental health community. I think that's a small piece of the puzzle.
Fair enough, but Rich, you brought up other countries. There are plenty of examples of other countries, Switzerland being one of them, where every able-bodied male over the age of 18 in their home has a military-style assault weapon at their disposal.
That's because they're
by
military
law.
service, though.
Fair enough. Switzerland does.
Switzerland,
excuse me. Switzerland does not have. Perhaps I don't know.
Yeah.
Switzerland does not have, even remotely, the problem that the United States does. I am not suggesting for a minute that guns are not part of the problem. They are a huge part of the problem, but it's not just. The story doesn't begin and end there.
All right, we got to take a break. We're going to keep this conversation going right on the other side, and also when we come back, we will remember the victims here and the heroes. Stay with us.
It just doesn't even seem real. I mean, I'm still like, really? I mean, here in Newtown, in this small town, and you know, you read about this everywhere else but here, and it's just, it's heart-wrenching for the children and for the parents and grandparents and everybody.
It feels like a dream and a bad dream.
It feels, it's a nightmare.